let's talk about The Mean One with director Steven LaMorte. He is joining us shortly. Steven is waiting in the wings. Waiting in the wings. Steven, are you there? All right, great.
Yeah, we're good.
All right, let's do a reset. The Mean One is an indie horror film that basically takes the Grinch to new extremes in an incredibly horrific and violent film for those who love Christmas. And Steven is here. The movie is it's been in theaters. I know that it's actually coming to video on demand. Steven, welcome to the Film Threat Livecast. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much. Thank you for having me.
Cool. Tell us, what led you to think, like, there aren't enough Christmas horror films out there. What led to the development of this movie and you wanting to make The Mean One?
I've always loved everything about Christmas, and I've always found kind of kids artwork and especially like older art and children's books, geared towards kids, kind of creepy. It's always stayed with me. I used to be a teacher, and their drawings are haunting, right? This stuff would keep me up at night. And I thought, well, when it comes to some of my favorite children's literature, if you look at some of these characters, especially a giant green monster with red eyes and big gnarly teeth that hates Christmas, is he going to be singing songs and giving hugs, or is he going to be, slashing throats and biting faces? So that's kind of where the impetus for this character came from. And kind of the idea that we could take something people knew and loved and make a parody and turn it on its head.
And what, did you have any issues with rights? I mean, it looks like the Grinch, but you're just calling it the Mean
The
One.
what now?
Yeah, the rights.
Yes. Well, I don't know the G word you said. I've never heard of that. I don't know what that is.
Look at you.
But the Mean One is of course a parody of a super popular character. And we wanted to take something we never wanted that people loved. We wanted to poke fun at it and parody it. Parody is protected by the Constitution. And, we made sure to really take great pains not to confuse people or trick people into thinking this is authorized or that it's, from the original author, or that we're trying to ruin something that people love because, this is a character that's been around forever and we're fans too. So it took a lot of work to kind of dance around the source material, but we're really happy with the way it came out. And I think hopefully no one's confused into thinking that it's something that it's not.
Well,
I will say you drop a couple of Easter eggs, and I think your ending kind of, it falls in line with the spirit of the original tale as well.
And I'll also say, I don't think this is for kids. It's not for kids.
It's certainly not.
Yeah. Let's go to some questions in our chat. We have we have over 500 people watching live. So here you go.
I'll keep the swearing to a minimum then.
Yeah, okay. Here we go. John Platt says, is the Mean One similar in character to Krampus?
Yes, the Mean One is actually took a lot of inspiration from Krampus, both in terms of kind of the holiday theme and kind of his power set, between the slashing and the teeth and the design. He hates Christmas, and anytime there's a, Christmas related thing in the around the town, that sets him off and lures him out. So he's very similar to Krampus, part Bigfoot, a little part Art the Clown. Definitely, you're right on the money.
Cool. And then Brock Samsonite says, did you take any inspiration from the Universal Studios tram ride with Psycho being almost directly next to Whoville in Christmas time?
Actually you're not super far off. I did when I was, 10 or 11 years old. I did go to a Universal Studios Halloween Horror Nights, and I found myself in the area of the author. No scare actors, no monsters, just the regular area with, the twisty architecture and, kind of the bizarre designs. And with the lights off and the smoke, it totally freaked me out. So I think some small part of that has stayed with me to this day and kind of triggered something in me that would ultimately grow to become the Mean One. So great question.
Solomon Thornton just comments, honestly, I always thought The Grinch would be a perfect slasher film, cool idea. And Greasy Guido says, I see David Howard Thornton, Art the Clown, is in this. Is he the mean one? I bet he was fun to work with.
You bet your bottom dollar. David Howard Thornton, Art the Clown, is the mean one. And thank you also for the compliment. The film is a slasher for sure. The character lends itself to that. And having David, who is, of course, infamous as Art the Clown, was awesome. And it was so fun to have him on set. But also, this movie is not like Terrifier. It's not super gory. It's campy and it's silly and it's goofy. And, getting to see an actor that saws women in half, as part of his repertoire of tricks, still play a nonverbal villain, but bring humor and kind of life to it, was a blast. And David's so talented. Watching him work on set was so much fun. I could easily do an all David cut of the movie. That's just him dancing and prancing and all that good stuff. He's great.
Comic Construct with Sean Z says, did you take inspiration from Jim Carrey's Grinch costume and makeup, or what was your approach going in? And congratulations on the movie, man.
Thank you so much. Well, I mean, a lot of our inspirations came from kind of all the different iterations of this character. I think that version is something that definitely stands out in people's mind, both in terms of not just the way they executed it, it's memorable, but also in terms of that version's a little creepy. I know lots of people who were kids when that movie came out who found the makeup, a little off-putting. So that was definitely sort of a starting point. But we also wanted to give some life to it based on the history of the character. He's been living in the mountains for 20 years. If the mean one was Gollum, right? What is he doing? He's living in a cave. He's rolling around in mud and blood. He's got to make his own costume. And all of that kind of worked its way into the aesthetics, so that there was some logic behind the way he looked. He isn't just scary for scary's sake.
Great. And then the final question here, Greasy Guido says, any plans at the end for a possible sequel?
That is a good question. I'm going to say no, I don't have plans for a sequel. This was a one-off, and we're super glad we're able to make this movie. But if I had plans for a sequel, there would be 10 pages of notes and some new sketches, maybe some new monsters, maybe ones you've heard of, a lot more action, more blood, more comedy, but there isn't. And I don't have plans, so don't ask me about it. But if I did, it would be super awesome. And I would be so grateful if someone were to let me do it, but I don't. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Cool. Well,
can I ask you,
sure.
The film, The Mean One's coming out exclusively at Regal Theaters at the moment. Was that something that they reached out to you about, or you reached out to? The reason I ask is, it doesn't seem like there's enough movies out there for theaters, and it seems like that this is a time more than ever for independent films to be shown in these big chains. Can you talk a little bit about how that kind of came about with Regal?
Sure. Well, I mean, look, we're a teeny little independent film, right? I mean, we don't even have Terrifier 2 money. We've got Terrifier 1 money, right? We shot the film. I had the idea, started the script in December of last year. We put the script together, shot in May. And, 6 months later, the movie's just about done. And we were going to deliver it just to streaming, right? So the movie's finished from May to September. What is that? May, June, July, 4 or 5 months. And when the distributor approached us after the first trailer came out and said, hey, there's a hole in the release schedule. Would you be interested in doing a one night only special theatrical event? Let's float it around and see if there's interest. Thankfully, they have a great relationship with Regal. Regal really appreciated the movie and said, let's take a swing with this thing. But we're a tiny film. We don't have a huge marketing budget. We don't have kind of the trappings of a bigger flick. So they did kind of have to take a chance on us and said, hey, if we're going to do this, we want to be partners. And that's why we decided we were going to partner with them, make it a Regal exclusive. And they've been so awesome to take a chance on a tiny little duct tape chewing gum movie like ours that for all purposes could have been a web video easily straight to streaming, has been fantastic. And what started as one night turned into one weekend, turned into 2 weeks. And as of this morning, like 3 or 4 hours ago, I found out The Mean One's going to be around for Christmas. We're going to still be in theaters this weekend into next week. So, people can get out there and still see it. And we're like, we can't believe it. I'm absolutely floored. Thank you, Regal. You're getting a Christmas card for me.
Well, thank you, Steven, for joining us. The Mean One will be in theaters through Christmas. Breaking news. And I'm sure it'll come out eventually on VOD. Thanks for taking the time to chat with us today.
No problem. Thanks for having me. See the
you.
film. It'll be around through past Christmas into the new year. So get out there and check it out. I appreciate it.
All right. Take care, Steven. Thanks again.
Thanks, everybody.
Later.
Thank you.